Sex, drugs, vandalism, they're just some of the problems neighbors are seeing right outside their windows at Council Crest Park.
Now a KOIN 6 investigation on this. We went to see the problem for ourselves. Chris Woodard found out it wasn't always like this, right, Chris?
No, in the process of looking into this, we learned the city once had a solution in place to keep these kinds of problems out of the park, and it was working. So we wanted to know, why get rid of it?
For 2 nights, we sat and watched. Cars in and out, people walking into the park late at night. Not much visibly illegal, other than where some cars parked. But the aftermath, always visible and always the same. Graffiti, beer cans, used condoms, all found the morning after.
So somebody here was out here last night, parked here, and then didn't want to drive away with the empty containers.
And that's fairly typical after a night?
That's typical.
Neighbors have had enough.
It's been deteriorating for the last few years.
We wanted to see how bad the problems were, so we staked out that area outside the locked gate and requested public records, which show 39 police or paramedic calls to the park in the first 10 months of this year. Most of those calls, the type neighbors are worried about, including disturbances, threats, suspicious people.
It's a little scary to come out and walk into the park when there's a whole bunch of people partying loud and you don't know who they are or what's going on.
Jeff Whittall is leading a group of neighbors proposing change. They've written this 7-page letter they plan to deliver to city commissioners outlining suggestions to stop the problems and how their ideas will save taxpayer money.
Because they have been in the past. They were tried and true. It's not an experiment.
In fact, the city had a solution that neighbors say was working. A seasonal barricade staffed by a security guard at the bottom of the road leading up to the park. So why get rid of something that worked? Our request revealed in 2009, the city parks budget was cut by $40,000. Yeah, right. The first of 5 straight years of cuts.
Real things go away and real people stop doing certain things, and that's frustrating for citizens. I absolutely understand that.
The barricade was eliminated and problems returned. But the city is now spending money to respond to those calls for help at the park, clean up graffiti, repair the grass from car damage, and pick up the remnants of public parties.
So it's expensive for the city. The city's trying to do its job. We're just trying to give them some suggestions on how they can do it better. We're looking at a prevention rather than responding after the fact.
Amanda Fritz, commissioner in charge of the Parks Department, declined our request for an interview. And she told us when she does get the letter from neighbors, she'll hand it off to the Parks Department.
So we asked to speak to someone in the Parks Department. They told us they didn't want to do an on-camera interview either, saying they were uncomfortable speaking because there are so many different city bureaus involved in the problems.
I don't know how to interpret that.
But Whittall says that's part of the problem. So many bureaus are involved, police, transportation, water, that no one is seeing the whole picture. And until the commissioners take this up, the piecemeal approach will continue without coordination and without success.
When you look at the problems they explain up there, drinking, drugs, sex, do they have your attention?
Absolutely, yeah. And partly they have our attention because they are so active in coming and saying, look, this is the situation. We're the neighbors. We're on the ground. We see this.
And while they didn't do an on-camera interview with us, a spokesman for the Parks Department did respond to our request for information. He also sent an email saying that their security manager is meeting with neighbors to try and address those concerns. The neighbors say that they will be patient here. They understand the city struggles with budget decisions. They say they're just hoping commissioners will take their ideas seriously as they look for a solution. Back to you.
And keep us up to date, Chris.